Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. So today I am going to be sharing with you guys some of my experiences being a cosplay guest. If you didn't know, last year at Fan Expo Vancouver, I was selected as a cosplay guest and I had my own booth and everything. This was my first time ever having my own booth, ever really officially being a cosplay guest at a convention, which was really cool. So I wanted to do a little video where I basically just answer your guys' questions about what being a guest is like, to kind of give you an idea of what to expect. And yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Before we begin, however, I am doing a little giveaway with Fan Expo Vancouver this year. So we're going to be giving away 2 Monday passes. The convention runs from February 17th till February 19th. So these will be for Monday the 19th. All you have to do to enter is just go over to Instagram. I will have a link to the post in the description for you to check out. All you have to do is like the contest post. Make sure that you're following me and Fan Expo Vancouver on Instagram. Leave a comment telling us what you are most excited to do or see at the convention. And then this contest will be running from now until February 4th. So that's 1 week from now. And the winner will be DM'd on Instagram by Fan Expo Vancouver about 2 days after the contest closes, so by February 6th. I personally, for this convention, I'm really excited to meet Charles Martinet, who is the voice of Mario, as well as meeting some of the stars of Hell of a Boss. I'm gonna be doing a big Hell of a Boss group with some other people, and we're planning on meeting them, so I think that's gonna be really fun. And just overall, I'm excited to just like see friends, catch up, have some good food in downtown Vancouver. Like it's a chill vibe. So I'm really excited for that. So anyway, all that out of the way, let's get into the Q&A. So the first question that we have, which is a really good one, is what's your daily schedule as a guest? Are there any things that you must do per contract? So that's a really important thing to know, I think, before being a guest. So my schedule is very relaxed. Basically, if you aren't contracted to be at a certain like panel or event or whatever, you're supposed to basically be at your table, which makes total sense. So I had applied to do 4 panels. I only got asked to do 2, and then they didn't want me to judge the cosplay contest. So I basically just did my 2 panels throughout the weekend, and then for the rest of the time was at my table interacting with attendees. Your schedule is going to really depend on how many panels they ask you to do, and if they ask you to be a cosplay contest judge, if they ask you to be an MC, like stuff like that. If you are obviously asked to do those things, your schedule is going to look a lot different. So it just really depends on what the convention wants you to do. What was your favorite part? So I think my favorite part was just getting to meet people. My channel is very dead at this point, which is very disheartening. From like an online perspective, it doesn't feel like I have as much of an audience as I used to back when I first started doing YouTube. So it was very reassuring and did loads for my self-confidence, which is so low right now, to see how many people in person like my videos and getting to hear their experiences watching my videos and their experiences like interacting with my content and stuff. That meant so much. Like that was a huge deal for me. Being face to face with people who like enjoy my content, have been fans for like years, was amazing. It was a huge deal for me. So that was by far my favorite part. And it did, again, loads for my self-confidence, because my self-confidence and self-esteem is at like an all-time low right now. So stuff like that really makes a huge difference. Next question, did they make you buy food/water there, or could you bring from home? Our local con has this policy. Very good question. So it's going to depend on the event, of course. But Fan Expo did not care if you brought food or water in. So I had a water bottle. I had a friend bring me food from the food court, and then I ate at my table. Like they did not care. So that policy is totally relaxed. Did you have to make content for the con while there? My case was a little bit different from the rest of the guests. So I had initially been approached by Fan Expo Vancouver to be an influencer for them. So to do basically like content marketing for them. So I did do like a giveaway last year for them and made some posts promoting the convention beforehand, and then the expectation was that at the convention I would also make a vlog and then post that afterwards as per our agreement. But then after that had all been squared away, I got selected to be a guest. So for the most part, if you are exclusively a guest at the convention, you're not like really expected to do content. The only thing that they want you to do is to make posts promoting the fact that you will be there. But aside from that, doing actual like convention coverage, like what I do with my vlogs and stuff, was not something that they had expected me to do on the guest side of things. But since I had also applied to be an influencer, I was expected to do that. So it was very challenging doing both. I don't recommend doing both. Definitely just like stick to one or the other. So this year I'm going to be doing press for them, doing convention coverage on Instagram and YouTube. But if I were a guest, again, I wouldn't be expected to do those things. How does your average con day look like? How do you plan your days as a guest? So again, that kind of ties back into the other question. It all really depends on what the convention wants you to do in terms of programming. They didn't want me to do very many panels or just the cosplay contest or anything, so I was mostly at my booth. I did take like lunch breaks and stuff like that. I did take breaks to do like little photo shoots, but aside from that, like 98% of my time I was at my booth. So it wasn't really hard to plan. It was more like, you know, be at the booth, take a lunch break, go do a panel, come back, be at the booth. Yeah, so for me, since I wasn't contracted to do very many events, I was able to just kind of hang out at the booth, which was not very hard to schedule. Another question that a few people asked was whether I reached out to them or they reached out to me being a guest. All the different fan expos around North America have application forms that you can submit to. This is something that they've done the past couple of years, so it's a relatively new thing, but basically you apply to be a guest and then they choose you depending on how experienced you are, what you really like bring to the table, whether they think you're a good fit for the event, etc. So I applied and I got chosen. Another way that you can get chosen as a guest is, I don't know if this is the case for Fan Expo, but I know it's the case for most other conventions, is if people request you. If there are guest request forms that attendees can submit to say like, I really like this person, here's what they do, here's why I think they'd be a good guest, please invite them, and the convention will choose that person if there is enough demand for them. That's the most common way I think people get invited to be guests. So yeah, if there are any cosplayers or influencers or voice actors or whatever that you want to see at a convention near you, the best way to do that is not to go to the person themselves and say like, hey, please come to this convention. It's better to go to the convention and ask them to invite said person. What was the most shocking thing about guesting? So I think the most shocking thing was just how much work it is. It is so much more work than people think it is. They think that you basically like get to go to the convention for free and have a good time, but the reality is that you are working. So I had like a whole merch table that I had to keep track of. I had to make sure that there was always somebody watching the merch when I was away. You do have to be kind of on all the time in terms of like your energy. Like you have to be very high energy the whole time because you're going to be meeting people throughout the day. You have to make sure that you get to your events on time. You have to make sure that you like do a really good job doing your panels or whatever you're contracted to do. So it is a job. It's not just going to the convention, having a good time. It is actual work. And I think I knew that, but I wasn't totally aware of just how involved it is being a guest. Were you able to wander the vendor hall much? I've been curious about how people do it. So I personally did not at all set foot into the vendors hall. I mostly stayed at my booth the whole time. This was for a few reasons. In your contract, you are allowed to leave your booth, but only for a certain amount of time at a time. So if you're gonna leave your booth, you do have to be speedy about it. And I think going to the vendors hall, looking at Artist Alley and stuff like that, I simply wouldn't have been able to adhere to that part of the contract. When you're in the Artist Alley, I mean, you're in it, right? Like you want to look at everything, you want to take your time. And so I didn't feel like that would be possible given the time constraints. The other part of it was that I didn't feel good leaving my booth. Like I felt very stressed about leaving my booth. I didn't want to like miss out on potential interactions with people, if that makes sense. So I mostly just stay at my booth whenever possible. I'm sure if you wanted to look at the vendors, if you were really speedy about it, you certainly could take a peek. But that's not the reason why you're there. You're not there to enjoy the convention, you're there to like promote it and work for them, basically. Do you earn a lot from being a cosplay guest at an event? The answer for me is no. There was something that happened. I had ordered a bunch of merch for my table and the company basically dropped the ball and didn't get it to me until 2 days after the convention because there had been a mess up on their end. So I actually ended up losing $400 during my entire like guesting experience, not because of the convention, but because of the company that I ordered my merch through. Aside from that, in terms of the merch that I did have to sell, in terms of like prints, pins, t-shirts, stuff like that, I just managed to break even. So I didn't earn anything there, and then I lost $400 from the merch that I had ordered that didn't come in time. So the answer is no. I personally, at that convention, did not earn, period. And that is it for questions. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions. I hope that this shed some light on what being a guest is like in case you are curious or you want to be a guest yourself someday. I hope that this was insightful. Reminder, if you want to enter the giveaway, I will have the link down in the description for you to enter. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys all next time. But until then, Panda Faces, please be sure to take care. Bye.